welcome to another edition of Brandy Potter Books Presents. I am Brandy Potter. Today we are going to talk about how I overcome some of my obstacles to writing. I want to thank April, who is one of the winners of the paperback autograph editions. April, I will be hand delivering yours because April and I actually went to high school together. So, for all you Severna Park High School folks out there that want to catch up with me, maybe want a free copy of the book, next time I do a book giveaway, why don't you go ahead and register and we'll see if we can't meet up, have drinks, whatever. But first, I do have a few administrative tasks. First of all, thank you to everybody that picked up their free copy during the free book promotions week. Not a necessity, but if you have a minute, it would be great if you would pop a review out on Amazon. It will help with the book sales algorithm, which I will probably be doing a presentation about at some point on Brandy Potter Books Presents. And if not, I will probably be redoing it for promo day, depending on what Joe wants me to do this year, just because they have changed the algorithm. So again, if you could pop out a quick review, that would be great. Next, congratulations to all the winners of the paperback editions. You guys have received your notifications, except for April, who got hers today because today's show was her idea. So score one for you. And last but not least, a little bit of shameless self-promotion. Most of you are aware that the book giveaway on Amazon and the contest for the autographed copies was the result of 1,000 followers on Facebook. We are now up to almost 1,500. I am slowly migrating folks that are fans and that are not part of my networking circle over to the page. If you suddenly find that you are not on my friends list, please don't take offense and send nasty grams over to my profile, simply because I just can't keep up with everybody on my profile page. I'm getting phone calls from India at 5 o'clock in the morning, which creates a sleeping issue for both myself and Shane and two of our dogs. So I really have to do this. It's not something that I'm doing lightly, and it's not something that I want anybody to take offense to. But I do want to thank everybody for their patience in this process. And please keep in mind, if you're messaging me on my Facebook profile, that you're probably not talking to me unless I messaged you first. Next, on Twitter, you can find me at Brandy Potter BKS. I really want to raise the followers over at Twitter next. So if we can get the Twitter following up, there might just be another book giveaway in our future. Cheyenne has told me that I need to be on Tumblr, so she and I have started my Tumblr page. I am doing book writing prompts on Thursdays on Tumblr and Twitter. Love to see your guys' responses. I really, really would. So hit me up on either one of those platforms. Tumblr, I'm at Brandy Potter Books. Instagram, I am going to be honest with you, I am not very good at keeping up with Instagram. I know that Joe is probably going to say to me, hey Brandy, come see my video on Instagram, but I just don't have the time to stay up on all the social media. Cheyenne is slowly but surely taking over my social media presence and becoming my PR person. So hopefully Instagram will be a little bit more active in the future. But if you do want to follow me on Instagram, I am at Potter Brandy. Amazon, of course, you can find my author's page, Brandy Potter. You can click the link to that through Venomous Lives. You can find Venomous Lives through my link on Amazon too. And some exciting news over on Goodreads. I did open myself up to answer authors' questions. Please send me questions over on Goodreads if you want to, if that is your preferred platform. And last but certainly not least, in my professional life, I do preach the values of LinkedIn, and writing is a business. So networking is very important so that you can find book buddies and beta readers and possibly editors and cover producers, etc. So LinkedIn is very, very important. If you want to, you can absolutely follow me on LinkedIn. And I do want to point out that the blog posts and these YouTube videos go up on all of these social media platforms, except Instagram because I'm really bad at it, but on all these social media platforms on Mondays when we meet here at YouTube. Okay, so let's talk about my writing obstacles. We're going to be talking about these very four important obstacles to writing: prams in the hall, bees in the room, nothing in the bank, and poltergeists in the house. No, we're not. I actually have some very legitimate obstacles to writing, the first of them being writer's block. I'm not going to go into a long, drawn out discussion about writer's block. We talked about stress in writing in episode 2, so you can pick that up on YouTube if you would like to. I will put a link below. But that's basically how I overcome writer's block. However, most of the time, I don't call it writer's block unless I'm truly blocked and I have no idea where I'm going. Being a pantser and a chronological writer, that can be a problem. Procrastination is something that I have not yet overcome. It is a learned behavior from my upbringing, not from my mother. I am the queen of procrastination and I work very hard not to do it, but I still manage to do it. I'm actually not someone that prefers doing my work in a deadline induced panic. I know that those folks exist and more power to you. However, in my professional life, I do teach workplace excellence, which is a certification that we use to teach soft skills to folks that are looking to gain those skills for employment. So I'm learning a lot of time saving techniques there. We have also introduced a new goal setting platform called Goal for It, and that's GOAL for it. That program is actually helping me set some marketing and word writing goals for me. I'm trying to do 1,000 words a day in my hour to 3 hours that I schedule at night. So I just want to give a quick shout out to those programs because they are helping me, and a very, very large shout out to all of my coworkers and to my supervisor, Miss Chambers, because she is absolutely an amazing person when it comes to setting goals and stopping procrastination. Time is definitely something that is not on my side. I have to manage my time very, 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 very carefully. I basically work two jobs. I work the job that brings in the money, and then I work the business of being an author. So when I have time to write, I have to make sure that it's not interfering with my family time. My family is also something that I tend to use as a procrastination tool. So my greatest treasures are some of my biggest obstacles to writing. However, what I have done is set up to put together the slideshow presentations and the media for these presentations on my lunch breaks at work. So that's an hour every day. And then at 9 o'clock, my husband turns into a pumpkin. But I have PTSD and I often have insomnia, and therefore I can't sleep at 9 o'clock. So, what I tend to do is when my daughter goes back into her room at 9 o'clock at night to socialize with her friends, I start writing. I have set, like I said before, 1,000 word a day limit. So I start writing at 9. I try to end by midnight. When my stepsons are here, um, that writing time decreases by a little bit more because my oldest stepson is 13. So he's usually up until 10 o'clock, and I try to spend as much time with him as possible. So, time is definitely something that can eat away at my life, but it is also something I can't ever get back. So, I'm very, very cognizant of that. Money, another big obstacle.
With the bad kids. They do that, that's a bad bitch. Come and get it if that credit is established. Tell 'em this shit's expensive.
I was recently asked in an interview what I wish I had known before I started. And the answer to that is how much money I would need to invest in my writing. See, when I was in school, they taught me how to spell, which I sometimes don't do right, so thank God for my brother Brian. And they taught me grammar, which we as authors never get right, so again, thank you, Brian. They taught me the elements of a story. They taught me about conflict and resolution and build up and the crescendo and the bell curve and all of that stuff. They taught me about plot. They taught me about description. They taught me about exposition. They taught me about characters. What they didn't teach you in school was that even if you are traditionally published, you are going to have to invest a lot of money in your product. I was traditionally published at first. That product resulted in a cover that I was very pleased with, a reach that I was very pleased with. I was on both Barnes and Noble and Amazon with Venomous Lives. But what it also resulted in was an edited copy that I was not at all pleased with, because the editors that I was told that would be going through my book went through my book faster because there was a more mainstream author that was coming out. I thought one of the advantages to being traditionally published was the marketing. There was none. I thought being traditionally published that I would be able to have my book produced on multiple platforms. Um, I've had to invest in the equipment to do my own audiobook recording, which I don't have any time for. Go back to the time section. So that is what I really wish I would have known, that I would need to invest in an editor and beta readers and book covers and marketing and all of these things that I now have to budget for in a given month and make allowances for. I think if I'd have known that, I probably would have not published Venomous as soon as I did and saved up and invested and gone the self-publishing route to begin with. So yeah, money is a big thing. So we just talked about marketing a little bit in the money section, but what a lot of people don't know is that even when you are traditionally published, you are going to have to market yourself. In this day and age, that involves multiple platforms. You need to be on just about every social media platform there is. You need to be an active presence. You also need to know about things like book trailers. You need to know about reviews. You need to know about the Amazon algorithm, which we talked about at the beginning of the video. You need to know all of this stuff. So marketing is definitely something that gets in my way because I have to invest time that I don't have to begin with into the social media platforms, into doing interviews, into doing book reviews for other authors, which I enjoy doing because I like reading. But I would much rather just be able to come home and write and shoot out a book and have it be done. But that's just not the way of the world. The final obstacle for me is too many ideas. There are so many ideas in my head, and my characters are usually so much a part of me that they're hard to let go of. So I have decided to continue my writing as a series novelist so that when these characters pop back up and their stories are perhaps resolved, I can start another episode with them. And as that happens, as I lay in bed at night trying to think of the next step to the story, there's all kinds of scenarios that pop up with different characters. Doing the writing prompts on Thursdays has brought me into other aspects of my characters that I want to bring out in the story. And, I'm not J.R.R. Tolkien, so I can't afford to produce a 2,000 page novel and have it sell. So I have to learn what to do with those ideas. So for me, I write them down. I write them down in composition books. I have composition books basically for every month of my life for the last 5 years or so. And as I need to find the ideas that I had prior, or if I want to refresh myself on some ideas that maybe I could integrate into the characters that I currently have, I go back and I look at those. I have unfinished work that I have worked on since I was 9 years old. Um, obviously, the stuff from 9 to probably 30 is very juvenile. I have a fantasy novel that I really really enjoyed writing. I will probably never write another fantasy novel again, but there are characterizations and conflicts that can carry over into the books that I have, as far as relationships go. So too many thoughts is obviously an obstacle. You have to be able to push those aside. And the only way you can do that as an artist, as a writer, is to write them down somewhere, to let them escape, to let them blow off like the smoke in this picture, and to move forward. So, in conclusion, I hope that you learned a little bit more about the steps that it takes to overcome obstacles for me and the ones that are important to me. I know that we don't usually do personal messages as far as things that happen in the world here at Brandy Potter Books, and it is something that I did say on the Big Four debate that I steer clear of, especially when it comes to politics. However, without being political, I do want to talk about an event that had a personal effect on me that happened in my community this week, and I think that it needs to be addressed. On Thursday afternoon, I was personally affected by yet another mass shooting occurring here in the United States. This time it happened in the city where I work and the capital city for my state. It affected me personally because my family dentist and Cheyenne's orthodontist were in the building. I am happy to report that all of them did get out of the building safely. I had also been in the building at the dentist office in the weeks prior doing some work in the capacity of my other job. Killed in the incident was Rob Hyacin, who is the assistant editor and a Sunday columnist for the paper, and he is also a fellow novelist. Wendy Winters, an editor and a community reporter. John McNamara, who worked in various capacities for the paper for 20 years. Rebecca Smith, a sales assistant, and Gerald Fishman, who was the editorial page editor and a 25-year veteran of the paper. The Capital newspaper supports so much of the arts in my community, and to have this happen so close to home in an area that I have always been proud to call home really made me stop and take a pause and look at things in areas where I'm not usually political. I don't really care what the reason for Jared Ramos was to go into that building to shoot those people, because it doesn't matter. And to search the internet or try to find a reason for it only gives him validation for his terrorism. And the reality of it is, this was a terrorist act. We are moving so fast these days, and everything is instant gratification. And I don't think that we need to censor things, certainly, but I do think that we need to educate our children and educate ourselves, to find out what the problem is. I remember when Columbine happened, we were all appalled because it was not something that had ever been heard of, and now it just seems like it's a one-up situation. So, in my research into how I could make a difference in the United States and in my community, I found a movement called #Enough. This movement, I think, is very important. You will see posts from me in regards to this. I hope that you take a minute to look at the movement, um, to try to see how you can make a difference. And I hope very soon that we as a society will move away from incidents like these. So, as always, my closing remark: to walk without dreams is to walk blind.